Hello everybody, Nick here at Scoggin-Dickey. We appreciate you stopping by for another one of our weekly tech videos. And in our series talking about the internal, the external, the top end, and everything in between of building your LS engine, we cover all sorts of parts here. We've done, the crank rods and pistons and valve springs, lifters and camshafts and whatnot. Well, we're willing to cover the basics too. And today, we're covering head gaskets. And now I know you might be looking at this video and you're going, Nick, what are you talking about? Why are you talking about them at all? You pick the one that's the right thickness because I watched your quench video, and you make sure the bore just isn't smaller than the stock bore and you're good to go, right? Well, in a sense, you wouldn't be wrong here, but there's a lot of options and different styles, and you'd be surprised how many customers call with questions about all the differences of these, and what do I use, and this is what I'm doing, will this handle it, will this not handle it? You would be surprised how many phone calls we get, and so that's why we do these videos. We want to answer everybody's questions, and there are some different styles, so maybe it needs to be explained. And of course, we have a bunch of different gaskets here. We of course got the multi-layer steel gaskets that you can get factory from GM. That's what came stock on the LS series of engines, Gen 3, Gen 4, and they're still using them today in the LT engines. These are great. And of course, Composite makes the MLS style gasket. That stands for multi-layer steels. It actually has multiple thin layers of steel here. And I will explain the difference here in a minute between the GM ones and the Composite series. There are some differences. And then there's like the paper or composite series, the pressed fiber series gaskets that we're all used to. If you did a small block or a big block that back in the old days like me, that's kind of what this was common. You were snagging a set of fel-pros and you were working with some of this kind of stuff right here. But even you can see there's a couple different styles. What does this all mean? And then some of y'all I'm still trying to make head gaskets out of this stuff. Please don't do that. This video is designed to help you guys learn a little bit about building an engine. And if you were using this stuff to seal a head gasket, you're doing something wrong. So follow along as I explain it. Now, these are still in use today on Chevrolet Performance crate engines, and they are used on ones that have iron block and aluminum heads, as well as iron block and iron heads. These are the tried and true. They have a pressed stainless steel ring in the center here for your combustion chamber, but the rest of it is a different kind of composite of different fibers and paper materials and whatnot. And it is special. It's not, they're not going to the recycling bin, I promise. But they do get different styles here for different kinds of engines, whether it be performance or just a stock rebuild. These are pretty good, and they do make these for LS engines, and some people ask, why can't I run these? You actually can. I will admit, one of the ways I used to make money back in college, I would grab a junkyard 5.3, strip the whole thing down, check all the clearances, the ring gap and bearing clearances, get things cleaned up and machine designated, and I'd put them back together. At the time, the cheapest set of head gaskets you could get was a set of head gaskets like this from fel-pro. A lot of those engines I put back together and sold for cheap just to make a couple bucks. They're still on the road today around here in Lubbock. I still have some friends that still have them in daily drivers or even performance engines, so it can work. Usually this is a little more forgiving on a surface cleanup than some of the factory MLS style gaskets. So that's another thing to keep in mind. Not saying that you guys need to go and half-ass the surface job on your block and heads. And again, don't use this stuff. But it is a little more forgiving if you have an imperfection or two. So these are still really good head gaskets. They're still being used by Chevrolet Performance in a lot of applications. So definitely nothing wrong with these. But the MLS style gasket is what GM started using in '97 on the LS series when the LS1 came out in the C5. And they're still using them today. These are great. We actually have seen these handle lots of boost, a lot of temperature changes, which is another very big benefit to these. Again, these are not reusable. We have had some of y'all call up going, why do I need head gaskets? You need to replace your head gaskets just like your head bolts. These are not reusable. I know there's some people online that have said they can. That's great if they want to try that, but they're definitely designed not to be reusable. Once they're compressed, heated up and whatnot, they're gone. And this black you see around here is a type of sealant. It does peel off when you peel off that head gasket. You're not remaking that even if you try to. So we're here to show you how to do things the right way. Now, if you're wondering the difference between a good Composite series of head gaskets and the GM ones, Composite make a very strong, high quality head gasket, just like the factory ones, but they offer them in different layers of steel, 5 layer, 7 layer. Sometimes that can help out with boost or other applications. And of course, they make them in a variety of thicknesses and different bore diameters. And of course, they make them in the 4-bolt style, or they make them in the 6-bolt style. If you're doing an LSX or an aftermarket block and running big boost, you usually are going to end up with some of these because these tend to handle it a little bit better. And the last but not least is the SCE style Athena gaskets. These are actually a pretty trick gasket. And if you're seeing on the camera now, you're going, wait a minute, that looks just like this fel-pro one. Like, what are you talking about? This is actually really special. Get a close-up look at this. This actually has a compression ring that is separate from the rest of it. It's like a compressed fiber composite on the outside with a bit of that built-in blue sealant, but the inside is this ring and it bites into the block and cylinder heads, and it can handle big boost, and that's exactly what these are for. If you're trying to hold some cylinder pressure, that is what these are for. We put these in a lot of customers' builds that are going way past your usual 1,000 to 1,500 horse, if you know what I mean. So these are really trick head gaskets. These are really cool. I believe actually the, if I'm correct on this, so correct me if I'm wrong, but we actually talked to the son of SCE. He came around and showed us, I believe this was his idea. So if it was, good job, these are great. And he was showing us these when he was early on developing them. So it ended up being a pretty trick setup. Ended up working out really great. I hope, as usual, I was able to answer some questions here. Maybe you thought this was just kind of a whatever topic, and now you're sitting there going, I didn't even know there were that many choices. So I hope I was able to answer some questions. If you have any more questions, please feel free to give us a call or contact us through sdparts.com, where you can purchase these head gaskets as well as other parts for your LS, small block, LT build, or what have you. And we appreciate you stopping by for another one of our weekly tech videos. If you would, please give us a like, a subscribe, and maybe a share. Tell all your hot rod friends about it, because that's why we do these videos, is to help out hot rodders like you and me. And we will see you Friday for another tech video. Thanks for stopping by.